Well, in the interest of 7-Eleven on, what is it, June 20th? 2017, let's open up this meeting. If you want to stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So I guess first thing to order is to elect. We have here a form. It's to Michael Keister, just because of the confusion that happened during the election of being on the same ballot and so on. This form basically says that whereas there is a full member vacancy on the Budget Committee in the town of Nottingham, and whereas we, the subscribers, have confidence in your ability and integrity to perform the duties of said office, we do hereby appoint you, Michael Keister, to the Budget Committee of said town, and upon your taking the oath of office and having this appointment and the certificate of said oath of office recorded by the town clerk, you shall have the powers, perform the duties, and be subject to the liabilities of such office from June 20th, 2017 until March 2018. Given under our hands this 20th day of June 2017. So.
I just need a motion and a second, and then a vote, and then it's official.
I move to appoint Michael Keister to the Budget Committee. Second that.
All in favor?
6 and 0.
Come on up.
No opposed. No opposed.
Nope.
So, the swearing in, he's gonna have to do that.
Yes, so
With the
you
town
can't, so
clerk.
I'm gonna have
So tonight, he,
you sign his chair for me. I know it makes you a little nervous, but have everybody sign it, and then I will give it to Sandy or Lori when they're in next, and then Mike can officially join the committee once he's sworn in, so.
So can we do the voting? Act as if he's a member?
He could participate tonight from,
Okay.
but he can't, I mean,
Or we can't vote.
Or does it have to be?
it has to be
just
the
don't wanna
town
sign
clerk,
pink.
or, I think it's, the town administrator maybe, but it,
okay. It says on the document town clerk, so.
Yeah.
so he could participate, but he can't really do anything as an official committee member, so.
Okay.
Thanks.
So if you want, this could be the shortest meeting you've ever been to.
Just
Oh, right there, okay.
Insurance department.
Do we need to do introductions?
For the viewing
Yeah.
public that
So for
doesn't
the
know us.
viewing public, let's do introductions. You wanna start, Tony?
I'm Tony Dumas, the Selectman's rep.
Susan Levinson, School Board Rep.
Mishka Haddock.
Jen Byron. Carrie Lee.
Suzanne Eden.
All right, thank you. Next up is to, I guess, elect a committee chair and a vice chair. We go about doing this as nominations or volunteers? Any volunteers, I guess, would be the first step.
We can't, so that's,
Yeah.
that leaves it.
Oh, wow.
So it's
Oh.
between,
You.
Well, so this is the meeting that has to be decided at, even though,
Yeah.
even though we're missing 2 positions,
Yeah.
or 2, yeah.
But could we theoretically elect a chair and table the vice chair?
Yes. The vice chair is just a position that you guys can utilize. It's not an official recognized position, so.
So when you can't make it to the meeting, somebody will step in for you.
No.
Let me just say, if you're like reluctant to do it because you're just uncomfortable doing that kind of thing, you remember how reluctant I was to do it last year? There's really not all that much to it. You're really just facilitating the meeting, and my Dumbo's feather was knowing that I could turn to Mike if I ever had a question. And no, honestly,
Yeah.
I mean, he was my feather. So really, don't shy away from it.
Now, because Michael hasn't been sworn in, can we nominate?
I think you can.
No, that's right.
No, you can't, there you go.
You could. I don't,
I'm just asking about the bylaws.
officially, what is the statute? I honestly don't know how that all works.
For the school board, I think the only thing you can't do is vote. So if we had someone that hadn't been sworn in yet, they wouldn't be able to vote.
But they're able to be nominated, or?
I think that because we've agreed to,
Yeah, he's
Make him
been
a
voted in,
member.
approved. He, for all intents and purposes, is a committee member now. It's just the formality of being sworn in that remains to be done. But apart from all that,
Sorry, you have to be sworn in first.
oh,
Mike, you can sit at the table if you want, and then you can officially feel like you're part of the meeting.
Come on
Yeah.
up. Yes, please do, yes.
2 cents.
that chair's padded. Just saying.
So, I kind of feel like it's between the two of you guys, quite honestly, if you're okay with me saying that.
I see nothing in,
I think that way too.
Is
Just that you
there-
guys have a great amount of experience. You've been invaluable to the committee from what I've seen in the couple of years that I've been here. So I think, I think you were equally wonderfully qualified to hold that role.
I think a lot of the experience and the understanding of the rules and regulations and how the process works.
Are there any constraints on your time, or that you feel would preclude you from being able to fulfill your duties?
In the possibility.
no, not really. I just apprehensive, that's all, so.
I was
I
apprehensive
think
too.
you have constraints on your time, obviously, because I know you're typically, tardy.
The traveling, the
Yeah,
logistics
the
of
logistics of it all and so on, so.
Yeah, not that I am speaking as to accept or even think it would be something I would want. But I am planning to be retired in early October,
Oh, congratulations.
Congratulations, yes.
so my evening constraints will be less, although I may just wander off in my retirement.
there may be travels
Put a beeper on
elsewhere.
you.
In fact, I've scheduled the first week of October as vacation time.
Yeah, I was always apprehensive too, and I never felt, even into my second term, I never felt I had enough. I didn't feel last year that I still had enough experience to do it. But once I did it, it's like jumping into a cold swimming pool.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you don't want to do it. You know it's gonna hurt, but once you do, you're like, all right, this is okay. It's
Did
really,
very well. I have to say, you
Yeah.
kept everything organized and moving and
there's really nothing,
well
nothing
outlined,
to it.
so.
I mean,
Did you find you relied on any outside, tools, or,
no, not at all. No, I mean, I went back and reviewed previous meetings that we'd had to see how things were done or how certain things were said sometimes. And Dawn keeps all that stuff on YouTube, so it's available to anyone that needs it. And like I said, I could always turn to Mike if I had a question. You know, and I got a little moral support from Chet a couple times. But beyond that, it was just a matter of showing up and, you know, I mean, really if you just
agenda's
follow
right
the
there.
agenda,
Yeah, so,
you know. And then, you know, then there's the formalities of presenting the budget and all that, but there's a certain language to it. And I had those bulleted lists
right,
that I brought with me, and I just used them as cue cards to remind me of what to say,
right.
you know. And I could certainly share that with whoever's gonna be doing it next.
And the chair could even delegate that.
What?
The chair could even delegate that.
Yeah.
In prior years, it's been done by both budget committee members and by town officials, so it's not, if you
Yeah.
feel uncomfortable presenting the budget, you could assign it to Chris or Tony.
As the selectman rep, yes.
Selectmen,
Yeah.
right, right.
Delegate.
I think though,
Yeah.
honestly, is that the budget committee is supposed to be independent of both the town and the school board, and I
Right.
just think it's more appropriate if the budget committee presents it as ultimately their budget, that's what it is, so.
And that's
Yeah,
how that
yeah.
It's
idea,
supposed to be.
Yeah.
yeah, that's how that idea was presented to me last year, is that because it is the budget committee's budget, it should be the committee presenting it to the town. So I'm like, that was one of the occasions where I had to go get some moral support from Chet, but he talked me down and just said, you know, just go by the notes, watch some prior meetings to get a little insight, and it wasn't that bad at all.
No, it was good.
I didn't see anybody fall asleep while I was presenting at town meetings, so it wasn't terrible. It really wasn't. And I can say that honestly in hindsight, it was not what I was apprehensive of. So don't let fear stop you, because afterwards you'll have a smile on your face and you'll say, yeah, that was a good thing.
You're not in the running?
I nominate Mishka.
Second?
I just think you have an overall level of familiarity, professionalism, nothing against you, Michael, at all. I just think you have a calm composure and are even-handed, and you have more experience than myself being on this.
All right.
You can discuss, right? I mean,
No, I
do
mean,
you have any
yeah, I mean, I
hesitations?
don't have any, you know, points against it, and it's really, it's fine. I think I can do the job that you guys are asking me to do, so.
You've still got Mike, and you can,
I've still got my.
Oh, yes.
if you want
I've still
some of
got
my cue
Chet
cards,
still
you
with
know
me,
how to
so-
find me, so.
Mike realizes he's vice chair now, right?
Yeah.
I nominate Mike vice chair. That just
Oh,
happened, by the way.
you don't know how
Order
many
here, we've got
appointments
a
I'm
motion on the table already.
Vote on
I'm
them.
missing how many meetings now? Let's see.
You should just vote on your
Yeah,
motion.
we
Yeah.
got a motion and a second, so,
We'll vote.
Mr.
So is
Chairman.
this vote?
I'll
I'd vote for you if I could.
Vote for yourself.
I can vote my,
No.
You don't have to.
Okay.
So 5 in favor?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
I guess I gotta move closer to you now.
Well,
We
you
also
can
put closer to the chocolate though, so it's all
Yeah,
good.
he was kinda
Yeah.
half-hearted.
She brought chocolate to help you
Yeah,
get
I
through
know.
the day.
Use the gavel to pound up the
Totally
chocolate.
threw me off.
Can we go for the vice chair now?
We can, or we can table it, either way, so.
For what?
For the vice chair.
You can go right,
You should do it.
if you already know, just do it.
Or if you want to give Carol and Aaron a chance to offer
Yeah.
themselves to that.
I think I'd like
I
to
think
do
we should
that.
just do it.
I'd
Oh, really?
like to, yeah, I'd like to offer
Give
it
them a
up.
chance to
Yeah,
partake.
yeah.
Cool. All right, so we're gonna table that for now. Doesn't mean you're not off the chopping block.
Oh, yeah.
You're off
Oh, yeah,
the-
it does.
no.
For now.
So,
We have a little summer intermission here.
so we've got some minutes from February 16 to review. Let's go through those.
87 says recreation department was $91,798, a 6% of, or eight,
Wow.
yeah.
Increase.
I have a question on line 38 and 39. It says, Mr. Sterndale reported the town is no longer expecting to receive payment holidays for worker compensation insurance, and the expenses listed will be seen similar going forward. I don't understand the sentence, I guess.
So in past years, the town has had a workers' compensation insurance premium, let's say, of $20,000 a year. For however the insurance companies do it, and I don't understand it, how they do it, they give the client a payment holiday, which is like a $10,000 credit off that $20,000 premium, so what we really only pay out of pocket is $10,000.
Okay.
Those payment holidays, we were informed, wouldn't be taking place anymore. Or if they do, they're certainly gonna be a lot less than what they were. So the amount that was listed in workers' comp, let's say last year we budgeted 10,000, or 16 was 10,000, 17 was 20,000, that's a big jump.
Yeah.
So he was just trying to explain that that's why that was there, and 2018 should expect it to be 20,000 or more.
I just didn't understand the sentence. And then, line 69, the last sentence, it just says the increase in town population and building permits as well as renovation house/house waste, but it doesn't.
Are a factor? Or
So
higher,
add are a factor.
higher, solid waste
Right.
expense.
Line 142, where it says, Mr. Sterndale reported for if the property sells. You probably want to say that if the property sells.
One more, where?
142.
Yep.
Mr. Sterndale reported that if the property sells.
Yep.
Same thing on the next article too, 147.
Yep. $159, Ms. Snow asked about the expendable trust fund, comma, if it will give the selectmen flexibility. $174, it should say halfway down that line, it should say contingent on the town taking ownership of the property.
On row 290, I think the word no should be known.
Line 301, Sterndale reported it is permitted to take the funds needed for separation. line 332.
That sentence
Now
doesn't
that
quite
you-
read right.
Yeah. I want to say a citizen petition that was submitted. .332, we just mentioned it.
Okay.
Petition that was submitted.
I'm looking at the sentence that starts in the middle of line 226. I'm not sure what exactly was intended. I don't recall the context of that, but my concern is, or the immediate solution that comes to mind, and may not be in the right context, but the town can't budget for those unknown expenses without a special fund, a semicolon. This provides a one-year authorization to withdraw. I don't recall that warrant article.
Oh, that was the one to
No, it was-
set aside 20,000 out of the unexpended fund balance to have a chunk available to pay out unused vacation time or whatnot if somebody leaves.
But was that warrant article to create a special fund?
No, it's a 1 year, they're gonna bring it up every year from now on, so it'll be like a revolving reauthorization. So not, and I think that's what he was getting at here. Can't budget for the unknown expenses. It, meaning the warrant article, isn't a special fund, but provides a 1 year authorization to withdraw those needed funds from
Yeah.
fund balance.
Okay, so if you put a
Semicolon.
semicolon after expenses
And
and
it,
prior to.
226.
Alright, so on line 224, I'd like just to make sure that it's clear that this paragraph is referencing article number 24. Mr. Sterndale reported, cross out the word this, warrant article number 24 was also used in 2016.
That helps.
Why does it say wasn't used after that?
And wasn't used.
And
And wasn't.
funds weren't used. Period. This helps the town pay for employee separation related expenses. Does that make it, is it better?
Well, at this point in time, we didn't know if the warrant article was gonna pass, so it was still a conditional thing. So I would say this,
But you've already used it. So it was, the 2017 warrant article was the same as 2017, so however it's.
2016,
referenced.
yeah.
Right.
Wasn't used, but would help, could help, yeah, I mean, it makes sense either way.
We will use it this year.
Yes.
Line 346, members need to the intent and be willing to participate in the process. There's something missing there.
Attend? Members need to.
Attend sounds better, yeah. I think that's probably what was intended there.
Did you say what?
Members need to attend and be willing to participate in the process.
Oh,
Oh.
attend, yeah.
I don't remember what I said.
I
Sorry,
don't either, so we'll have to
I
make it
couldn't
up.
tell you.
And that's okay, I don't have very good audio at this meeting, so.
Yeah. No, that's probably what it is, though. Members need to attend and be willing to participate in the process.
I remember him saying exactly that.
It was
All
along
right.
those lines.
Do we have a, is there a motion to accept the minutes as amended?
Approve.
Approve.
Yes, there is a difference, yes.
What's that?
Approve. Approve as amended.
Do we have a motion to
To
approve?
approve the minutes
As
as
amended.
amended.
Second.
All in favor?
5 in favor.
Still reviewing.
One Abby,
I'm gonna abstain
Oh.
because I wasn't here.
one Abby Steen. All right. Fourth quarter 2016-17 school financials.
So I had sent over, some financials that were prepared as of May 10th, and those will be forwarded to you. So at this time, we are gonna be looking at our financials again tomorrow. So we're looking at a surplus of roughly, we were at 3, as of, the 10th, we had a surplus of 373,999.09. And updated, that the board has not reviewed yet, but they will see tomorrow, it's, 376,617.48.
Give me that number one more time, please.
376,617.48, but that's the, these are dated, 6/15, and they'll be looked at tomorrow by the school board.
I'm sorry, the second number pertains to what?
It's the surplus, the board reviewed financials in May,
Okay,
and tomorrow we have a meeting, and we'll be reviewing the June financials.
okay.
So
So the first
our-
number was May, and this one is June.
Right. In terms of this surplus, it will be adjusted for the warrant articles that were voted upon in March, so that number will come out. The board has not taken a formal position yet on the 1.5%, but I think we're leaning toward not doing that. At our last meeting, actually 2 meetings ago, the administration brought forward some items of concern that they wanted to use surplus spending. At that time, we indicated that we thought that they should take some of these items to bid, which they did, and they brought these to us at our last meeting. So in terms of surplus spending, the fire alarm system in the school has been failing. It has been going off when there's nothing, kids are being evacuated, and this has happened, I believe, 3 times. So, they had someone come in and look at it, and they said the system is original, apparently, to the building, and on top of it, it's something's wrong with its sensors and the way that it's getting information. And so this is something that's concerning, because you start to wonder, would it work in the opposite direction as well and not go off when it should? But the kids are being evacuated in this time, and so forth, away from the classroom. So, that went to bid. We had 3 bids. GHA, no, I apologize. Looking at the computers right now. We essentially went with Central Signal. They're gonna upgrade the fire alarm system at $65,185. In addition to that, the one-to-one initiative for the Chromebooks in technology. The school board decided that it would be beneficial to just finish that initiative now, get those Chromebooks into the hands of the students, particularly the 8th graders, and work on a program where the students will be initiating one-to-one, but in addition to that, the 8th graders and the 7th graders will be able to bring their Chromebooks home. There'll be policies that will be stated around that. The teachers have put together the benefits. I'm on the technology committee and asked them to put together costs and benefits and how this would be used to improve education. And they pulled that all together. So essentially, some of the things that we'll be working on will be the technology itself, the fact that it'll be incorporated into their classroom work, They'll also have to develop some of these skills around, you have to be responsible for this, you need to bring it home, you need to work on it safely, you need to keep your assignments up to date, you need to bring it to school fully charged. So it's those other types of skills as well, those executive function skills that will need to be worked on and improved, and we think it will help them greatly moving into high school, because when they get to high school, they are expected to be able to use those computers and do their work on them. So, that it's $31,720, but there are some grants that can be applied to it, so it's going to come in more around $20,000. And I don't have these numbers finalized yet, and I noticed they're not in our new packet either, but I did want to make you aware of these items. Another item that the school had concern around was the fact that the intercom system, again, is original to the school from 1995. They moved in 1996. The teachers don't have any outside lines. They do have the 911 cop sync, which they can use if they have some sort of intrusion or whatever. The closest, whether it be Lee or whomever, Stratford or Northwood, or whomever's closest, they will get there, state police, whatever. So if they do get a panic out of the school, that will happen. But they can't call out of their classrooms. They don't have any telephones to do so. And they're indicating that, again, the intercom system is becoming spotty and difficult sometimes to communicate over. And the other piece of the issue is that the school board commandeered a lot of space recently. As you know, over the last couple of years, we really got into it and got into closets and got into taking down walls and so forth, and those rooms weren't wired with intercoms, so now those classes are out of the communication loop. Or if they're servicing students in those rooms, they can't use an intercom. So they gave us an intercom system, basically, and it's going to be so the teachers have telephones in the classrooms, and they can call out in the event of emergency. And that number, I think, was around 25. And then the last piece to round out the security issues is a vestibule area. So right now, you push a button, you walk into the school, and you have a straight shot in as soon as the door is unlocked. So the proposal is to put glass up, and I do have some drawings here from the folks that made the bids, and that's going to be about $9,000. So there will come September, there will be a vestibule. You'll go in one set of doors. You'll be in this foyer area with another locked door in front of you. You'll be able to see you'll be able to see into the office. The office will be able to evaluate, give a pass or whatever. And if there's some problem, then they have that second block. So those are the items that were approved. Yeah, it's unfortunate. The other two schools in the district have gone ahead and done that. We all voted unanimously to do it. I was sort of the mindset that maybe we should just follow the CIP process. If we want to make these improvements to the school, go ahead and do that. And put it on CIP and have visibility and plan for it. But when you're starting to do one piece of the security issues and you're talking about the fire alarm and everything else, then I think it was like $9,400. It seemed I might as well just get it done. They also are asking for cameras. Those weren't approved at this time. They're about $3,000 a piece, and they were thinking they might need 10 of them. So that's something that will need to be talked about. They weren't talking about putting them interior, but putting them exterior. And I think one of the things that came up is that Co-Brown has cameras on their exterior, not on their interior. But you have to remember they're a campus.
Right.
So they are trying to capture all across the street and down to the lake and so forth. So it's a different, I don't think we really have quite the need. We're not as sprawled out. So that's something that will come up.
Are those interior or exterior cameras?
All the cameras that Co-Brown mentioned are exterior. There's nothing interior that I know of.
Oh. But I mean, what would you want at the school?
The school is asking for exterior as well, and maybe a better camera, which we did approve, one better camera for that vestibule that's being created.
Yeah.
So that would make it,
Are the other doors at the school on some sort of alarm system so that the front office knows whether or not the door is open, ajar, or if it's closed, to know how many access points are open to the school at any point?
I'll ask that
Okay.
question. Some of it, they don't want to talk about too much
Oh, no, yeah.
publicly, but I think that's something you probably could answer, because they're trying not to expose
Yep.
weaknesses. But I know all those doors are locked down. Everything is essentially locked. And I know the only door that would be triggered to open would be that front door in the vestibule, and that would be based on a visual.
Okay, I'm just, as a, not looking for a response, but in regards to is there some sort of charm, alarm? Is there some sort of panel that
So that
lets
if
you
a new-
know, so that somebody's aware?
That if a door were to be left ajar or open or whatever,
Yeah.
I will check. And I don't want to be seen, I just.
No, I completely, I
But I think
appreciate
it's a
that
good, I
100%.
think it's a good question, and I know it hasn't been asked in a meeting, so I'll make sure we cover it.
Okay, yeah, just,
Are they available? Is that what you're,
She wants to know if it can
No, are
ha-
they
if it will
currently
happen.
installed?
if it can be installed?
Or
if it is,
cur-
if it's,
yeah, or if-
Yeah.
it's more of just kind
Currently.
of, as you're researching all of these items,
All right.
is there some way of the office understanding that a cafeteria door or something along
Right.
those lines? Is anybody aware of that, or could somebody have propped there?
There is actually. We use them at the UNH police
Yeah,
station.
and
I
if they
know of,
give you a
it's like
tone.
it's a magnet.
Oh.
So there's one, it's embedded in the door, the wood of the door itself, the other one's embedded in the door frame.
Mhm.
And obviously, when the magnets are side by side, the alarm is silenced. If the door sticks open,
Mhm.
and there's a timeout, like 30 seconds or something, if the door doesn't close, it does something, whether it beeps or a light goes off somewhere or somebody gets paged. So those things are out there.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't think they're
that's-
on there, because I know we used to prop the door going into the gym sometimes.
Right, and I know that there was, at a point that was concerning, because there was always one access point that was always open.
Yeah.
So, but just for discussion
Yeah.
in your, you
Yeah, we're
know.
trying to, not go overboard and at least be similar to what the other schools are doing, and the
Yeah.
vestibule, we're the last one kind of lagging on it, so I
Just
think
items
everyone
to be aware
feels a
of.
little bit more, a little bit more comfortable with these changes, and unfortunately, that $65,000 hit on the fire alarm system, but I don't know what you can do if that thing's just going off at 2 AM for no reason, or it went off in the night, it went off in the day, it was just going, so.
Does touching that system, open the door to being obligated to put in sprinklers or any of those other things that are code now?
No. As far as I understand from the last conversation we had about sprinklers, the only thing that would trigger that, we're grandfathered, we're fully in compliance with the laws as they were at the time this building was put together. If you do construction to the building where you actually attach to the building, so even if you put, what we were told back in 2011, even if you put a modular out there and you connect a hallway or something, then you are going to be subject to the sprinkler system. And the prices that we were given at that time were right around 800,000 to 900,000 plus, because a cistern is required, and it would require physically going through the entire school and putting that thing in and so forth. So it would be about $900,000 to put it in. And then some other little changes might also be required, like a bathroom and a kindergarten classroom, some things that were grandfathered. So anything that was to code at the time, if you touch the building now, you have to come to code as it stands today. So, I know it's probably hard because you don't have the financials in front of you, but we anticipate that the auditors will be in the August timeframe. We're looking to have the audit complete September, early October. According to Marjorie's notes to us. The other piece that will come out of this surplus as well is any shortfall in the food service program. So that has to come out of the general fund. We cannot run the food service program negative. And that will be about a $30,000 shortfall. And the reason for that shortfall is that the federal child nutrition at this time is $20,596.78. We have not received, and so I'm assuming when we have this tomorrow at our meeting, we'll be asking the business administrator what can be done, or if that's just that. So we anticipate that the food service will be shy $33,724.73, and that too will have to come out of,
The surplus.
yes. The lunch sales were short $13,384 from what was anticipated. We had budgeted 95 and got 81.6. And the child state nutrition, is in fact, it was over $256, so that's that piece. In terms of revenue, I don't know if anybody was familiar with the case Dover brought, against the state in regard to the adequacy funding. Nottingham was a district that was short-funded. There was a spreadsheet out there that indicated it was around 600,000 because they were capping in towns that were still growing. The cap wasn't covering everything. So we received $49,371 in adequacy money as a result of the legal action that Dover took. And my understanding of it is that there were several years that were, the 600 for us represented several years, and they had millions over several years. And I believe their case was the last year was all that they were going to get. So they got the year prior, I believe, and so that's what we essentially received as well. We did ask the SAU for more detail on that, but they said the funds were just pretty much wired in. They didn't have a lot of backup to it. I would still like to see the calculation and understand that, but at least we did receive it, so.
How much was that against it?
49,371. So that was in, you'll see that in the revenue report when it comes to you, on the report dated 5/10/2017.
What do you attribute the food sales down by such a significant amount?
I'm not sure. That's one other thing I have to tell you as well. We did increase, it will start next year, the school lunch price. It's currently at $2.15, and every year you have to go in and fill out all kinds of forms with the federal government, and you have to have a certain amount of that you're charging. Typically, we go in as the food service agency and individually calculate that. This year, the SAU went in as the food service agency, and they did all 3 towns. And so all 3 towns needed to raise their lunch prices. We were the lowest. We were at
It's 215.
$2.15, so we were
Very
up a
familiar with
dime.
that.
$2.25
Oh, okay.
next year. So that's what we had to do in order to be in compliance. In terms of why, I think that maybe, I'm not sure. Obviously, not as many kids are purchasing the lunches. I don't know what that is related to. We are asking a lot of questions about it. We'd like to see more of the fresh food, see what the kids are enjoying and what would maybe beef up those sales. In addition to that, I did look around and I see that the adult price for meals at other districts is higher than what we charge. So that's another area. I don't know how much of a revenue impact that would make. Not as much as we need, but it's a thought. So that's an area that I think we will be discussing over the summer to see what can be done. If anybody has any thoughts on it, let us know.
Do they track what days are good sale days for the lunch menu, and maybe a survey to see what the kids like and don't like? Because I know at my household what they appreciate and don't appreciate.
We can talk about that over there.
They don't buy anything on Wednesdays.
But Wednesday is not Prince
It's
Spaghetti
Italian Day.
What day is it?
Italian Day.
Oh,
Doesn't go over very well.
okay.
Pastas and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. My son eats all his meals at the school, and my daughter brings all her meals with her, so.
We have the same, we have a 1-in-1.
I have a 1-in-1,
Yep.
but Wednesday's a no-go on both.
Pancake Day is very popular, though. It actually gets cheers when we read it off the menu.
Sloppy Joe's no go.
No go on Sloppy Joe.
No, both of them, but, I
Um,
don't know, just stuff like that,
Well, definitely, I think that we were going to try over the summer to look into many things, and lunch being one of them, because that is a pretty good shortfall, and it would be nice to know the kids could get a good, nutritious meal that they really like, too.
Are you increasing the breakfast price too?
No, I don't, nope, that wasn't part of the requirement. It's something just around the lunch prices. You have to be a certain percentage of the meal cost in order to be eligible for the federal funding.
Okay.
And I looked at Jackie's highlights to you, and if you want, I can just give you some quick highlights about what we're talking
Mhm.
about, if you have
Yeah,
questions
yeah, I mean, the
on-
next section is general school updates anyway, so.
Okay. So, we're working to continue the workshops. We have money in the budget that's coming in place, for the, guidance department to continue with those. The school board had really brought forward a lot of those things and had wanted the SAU to provide, some of that. So far, we've had, an opioid, presentation with an individual who actually had succumbed to that and made it through. A young man who explained, his situation and progress to a lot of kids in our gym. There was resilience training that went on in Stratford. There was executive function, which was Peg Dawson, and that was here at this school, and some really good, what we're trying to do is get things in front of parents as well, to give them the tools and things to go and look at. She has all of her presentation out on the school website, so if anyone's interested in that. There was anxiety, how to work with anxiety with kids, what can lead to it, what things you can do to help, and that was recently done with Lynn Lyon, and we held that one in Northwood, and we'd like to continue to roll through those, because we think that, you know, the whole anxiety issue, there's a lot of it in kids, and it would be good to be able to get in front of that, shore up those executive function skills and resilience to try to handle that, so that you don't end up, you know, trying to self-medicate, and it's a real unfortunate web of issues. So we're gonna continue to fund that and hope that that goes on. The playground, the equipment is being purchased. It's planned to be a group, community build when the equipment goes in. As you can see, the area was expanded, so the field
Looks great.
area is expanded. It's been seeded over, it's coming in. We expect that to have to stay, nobody using it until September in order to let it, you know, let the grass get a base in there. So it's been expanded and seeded and have to remain unused until September, but at that point, we're looking to maybe put some picnic tables there. We know the kids like to be physical, they don't necessarily wanna be on the swing sets or the other pieces to the playground, if you will. I shouldn't say swing sets, cause they all seem to like that. But the older kids in particular will just be able to run, do whatever on this grassed-in area and get some exercise, and so we're hoping with that expansion and then the new playground equipment that will be good. The propane tank issue was just an issue where the truck was having some issues backing in there. That is supposed to be, from many years ago, only filled when the kids are not in school in session, so we're gonna continue to ensure that that is what is happening. The town had helped kind of level that area out, and that will continue to be something that we watch, and the fence has been repaired, so that should stay back. And the new, you know, the new playground and that new field area kind of draw away from that area, so hopefully.
Yeah, that's just years and years of bark mulch buildup that have caused it to, once it gets wet and you're not getting through there.
Soggy
It's-
and-
Yeah, so,
You don't want a propane truck listing.
yeah.
How much ended up being spent on the playground equipment? How much did you?
That was gonna come to about 65,000, and that includes, you know, the whole structure. I can bring to the next meeting a picture of that
Yeah.
structure, and,
Yeah, that'd be great.
I meant to bring it, and I thought I had
missed
it
the,
here, but I
I
don't.
missed the school presentation, so.
When
When
will
is
that be
that?
received?
That was it? That was the
We'll
question.
find out tomorrow exactly when they can get it done for us, but we wanna get it done pretty quickly here and then have it in place, certainly for the return to school, and have that field area ready to roll and have that done. So hopefully, you know, and we don't really wanna go over, we did it in phases. I think we paid like $24,000 for the phase to take down, the logging was free, but all the other pieces of it, you have to, you know, get it all leveled out and so forth. And I think the logger came in and took the logs, so. But it was like 23 and change on that, and we took that against one of our, capital reserve. Because we have the grounds improvement / playground capital reserve. So that was processed, and then we're gonna go forward with the rest, and after June 30th, come July 1, the additional 30 will hit that account, and we can use that to put in the playground pieces and finish it up. Surplus spending I spoke with you about, we can bring you exact details on that. Summer Slide's been a huge endeavor. Mr. Chauvette, the curriculum director, who's entirely in charge of curriculum in our school, we have 3 administrators, and he, you know, the curriculum begins and ends with him and the teachers, and he has the final word on it. He certainly works with the other administrators, but it's unique that he has that authority and can really work with everyone on that, and it has shown results. So for Summer Slide, you'll be seeing information coming out. You can hopefully be utilizing our local channel a bit, and really just trying to get into the hands of parents some things that can be done with reading and math over the course of the year. Mr. Chauvet did do a study based on a request by one of the board members to show what is the slide. If you look at one study, like the NEWA exams, what happens, where are kids when they leave and where are they when they come back, and there really were some regression of scores, which is unfortunate. So that study is available, and the plans for the Summer Slide piece are also going to be, you should be seeing it in the nightly news and so forth. So. Technology Committee, I talked to you about one-to-one. Insurance for the budget that's coming forward July 1. We had budgeted 9.73% increase based on the Health Trust estimates. It did not come in at 9.73, and I can't remember the exact number right now, but it was markedly lower. It was materially different. So that's something that we do expect that we should show as surplus on those lines, and I believe it's the board's intention not to touch those lines for any sort of surplus spend or anything, because it was just over budgeted, and we realize it now. But we did what we had to do based on their documentation. We formed an audit committee at the joint board level, so we'll be working with the auditors directly, and any questions that we have around the audit and any controls that can be put in place and so forth, we'll be working directly with them. We met with them once, and we'll be meeting again in September, so we're doing that in order to just try to tighten up that whole audit process and make sure that we have policies in place to ensure that we have the proper controls. We're going to be engaging on a building study. Part of that is needed. We put that $20,000 up into the capital reserve, not the capital reserve, the capital improvement program. In order to use the impact fees, we need to have a study. We would like to pursue full-day kindergarten. Most of the towns in the state have done so, and the other two districts in the SAU are implementing it for next year. We didn't want to do it. Not that we didn't want to do it, but with us, it's a building issue because we don't have a place to put it right now. So we need a study on that building and try to figure out if there's any place in the building that we can put it, or if we can do some sort of modular. And then when you start talking modular, I start thinking those things run $500,000, $600,000, $700,000. So why couldn't we do some sort of stick build on a slab and do an early childhood there and put the classrooms in?
Can I ask, in regards to the USA Springs property, just kind of generic conversation here, but is there a way of doing like a middle school over there? Do any of the other communities have the same problem that we have, that we're outgrowing the school, our
That's like a I think the whole piece of I think you're selling it, or trying to sell it, correct?
That's a long story.
Okay.
I'll get it.
I know it's like a big, huge, but it's
Because I know the town's been in conversations before with like Barrington and so on as far as doing a middle school.
I personally went to Barrington and talked with them. We asked if we could bring our 7th and 8th graders over there. A couple of things about that. They do mixed grades.
Yes, yeah.
We didn't have a great experience with that here, but we did it for a space issue. I think if you did it for curriculum reasons, it might be fine.
Mhm.
But they also weren't really into it, and they also said that they had excess kids maybe coming up K through 5, and that they might need space in that building, like maybe push 5 into that building. So that kind of bumped us out. So we did do that. We've talked with Stratford, and we've talked with Northwood. Northwood just finished off a bond where they did a big building addition, and it went 10 years, and they are now down. Their numbers are down. We are the largest district with 530 or something, and they're both under 400.
Okay.
They say the sweet spot for a middle school or a high school, it's around 300, 500 or so. We don't have enough kids for a middle school to support a building.
Okay.
And Stratford has a piece of land that they could use, so they're not. The last we knew, again,
Yeah.
they were just, it wasn't.
Okay, and that's kind of the information I was just curious about, just
Yeah.
where we're kind of dealing with that, where we've outgrown are we seeing any similarities in any of the, you know, communities around us?
Yeah, we're definitely still growing. We're not growing by leaps and bounds, but we're one of the few, definitely in our SAU, we're the ones that are growing. We've got far more kids than the other two districts. They're down like maybe 440 in one of them. So it's significant. And Stratford just did a build as well, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, where they added interior building and they added labs and things. So our labs are also from 1996 are tough. So we're trying to see, we've got that $260,000 in impact fees. We've been talking with the planning board. So I think we're going to get going on that building study, and also enrollment projections and the whole bit, and see what it comes up with, and hopefully have that ready for September to talk to the community about, and get in front of the community on kindergarten and see how they feel about it, and particularly what they think about housing it, because that's our biggest issue. And it would be full day, not half day. So it's a lot to consider. Transportation, still down a driver. We've been working on this all year. Been getting updates at every single meeting. We've had 2 or 3 people in the pipeline, and they don't work out for whatever reason. And at this time, I think one of the last meetings we had with the community, we had a meeting where people could come and ask questions about it. And there was a driver there that was about ready.
Yeah.
And that ended. And our last update, we'll be getting one tomorrow as well, but we don't even have anyone in the pipeline right now.
All right, that last one sounded promising. It sounded
Yeah.
like it was there.
What are the issues what's the deterrent, or what's the?
They're saying that it's a nationwide shortage of bus drivers, and it's because the economy starts to tick up again, and jobs start to open up, and people can get jobs that maybe pay a little bit better or what have you, and they lose part of their population that has an interest in it. And I guess that's what's happening. We have asked, we've talked to our attorneys to see if we can provide a bonus, and it can get kind of difficult because they're not our employees. So we're kind of, at this point, what we're trying to ensure is that we don't have any bus routes that are over 45 minutes, and we're trying to make sure everybody's safe, and that we understand what the route looks like. And we're going to have to lay everything out again over the course of the summer, and look at all the new people that have come in and where everybody is, and then lay out new routes with Dale, and figure out what this means to us. But we're definitely down a driver, and we did have money in the budget for that as well, because we only had to pay. We got a credit of 75% on the cost of that bus. So I think the only other thing, we're looking at the surplus at the SAU level. That's a different animal from the towns. They carry surplus year over year, whereas we can't. And that surplus right now is probably around 430. And so those books will be closed in September as well. And we need to determine, based on the auditor's recommendations, what percentage needs to be left there for cash flow, if there are issues, and what can be returned to the towns. And I know that at least one of the towns is very interested in making sure that comes back. So that's a conversation that will be had probably September, October.
What's a typical percentage that is like a median that is left?
We don't really have a typical percentage. The auditors are basically saying that they think around 375, 400 is what you need. The issue is, if grants don't come in a timely fashion, then the SAU can be short paying things out, because they're driving their payroll and so forth. So, although they've had surplus amounts as low as 70,000. So we've looked at that over the course of the last 10 years, and it's really fluctuated. I was talking to our town administrator on it, and his recommendation was that we look at a cash flow analysis and determine how close they're coming. So I think that's something that we'll do. And we're also talking to each of the towns to really understand how, when those amounts flow back, how they treat it, because that's one of the conversations that the joint board is having around it. So. Oh, and tomorrow we will be interviewing assistant principal, 2 assistant principal candidates from 5:30 to 6:30, non-public. But our assistant principal unfortunately is leaving, so we're sad about that, but we're gonna be interviewing 2 new candidates and hopefully making a decision tomorrow night, and then that will be made public.
Is there any open school positions, teaching positions? I know there's quite the shuffle, but it seemed like everything was pretty much covered.
We do have new hires coming in because our math specialist is retiring, our nurse is retiring.
Yeah.
A kindergarten teacher is retiring, and a first grade teacher is retiring. And then on top of that, I guess you had some shuffling for, preferences and so
Right.
forth. So there have been some hires.
Okay.
So 3rd grade will have 2 new teachers.
Is this vice principal there just this one season, this one year?
Yes.
Is there a way that, and how long was the one before that there?
2.
2. Do we see a reason to, is there something that can be, to hang on to people, or?
Sounds like they both went back to their home school.
Yeah, they both made lateral changes to other assistant principal positions. I mean, in that position, you do anticipate some movement because people like to move up to being principals. And I think Mr. Leatherman was with us probably 5-6 years, I believe. You probably remember that.
Yeah, no, I just thought, it struck me that, wow, I think
Yeah.
that one's only there a couple of years, and this one is only,
Mhm.
I just
And
wondered
2
if there's
very good assistant principals
Yeah,
too.
I just
Very,
didn't know if
very
there's
good
anything that we can be doing
adminis-
to retain
Yeah.
good quality candidates, or?
We did get good candidates that are coming in, and yeah, point taken on that, so.
All right, thank you.
Sorry, it's got a lot, but it's been since.
Yeah, lots of balls in the
It's
air.
good information,
Great.
though.
Next item on the list is second quarter 2017 town financials.
All right, well, I'm gonna try to do this justice as Chris would. So when you're behind your agenda, you should have a single-page spreadsheet. And it's more of an executive summary version of the regular town budget, because I didn't wanna overwhelm you with a lot of line items. So it's basically all the departmental categories. And what you see halfway through the years, for the most part, we're right where we expect to be. In terms of the remaining budget from department to department, with 2 exceptions. Legal services, where we've overshot that a little bit, and we're probably gonna overshoot a little bit more by the end of the year. The reason behind that is the demands that we had to place on our attorney with respect to seizing the USA Springs property. And there were a lot of things going on at that time, right around town election time. We just didn't know what was coming, so we were putting a lot on our attorney, and that translated to billable hours. And I believe, I do have some notes from Chris. We also have a tax abatement case in Superior Court, which is also gonna further hit that line. But I believe we'll be able to shift things around and take care of that appropriately. The other big one, highway department is a little low for this time of year. And Chris's notes indicate a lot of overtime from the winter, paying part-time employees for plowing, contracted plowing, and increased salt expenses, all putting a major hit on that budget line. Mainly because of the severity of the winter and the timing of the storms. We had some hiring difficulties. We do have also, and I'll probably get to that again later, but our road agent, Mr. John Fernald, he is retiring this fall, and we've already posted for that position. I believe we've already got some candidates that have submitted resumes, and the town administrator's evaluating that right now. What we're actually looking to do is overlap them, have the incoming road agent side by side with Mr. Fernald, to really hand off all that organizational knowledge, so that way the new person isn't just coming in blind and starting from scratch. So that there'll be some budgetary impact from that, having those 2 people in the one slot for a short time.
How much time do you anticipate?
I think the last time we talked about it, we're expecting about 6 weeks, maybe 8. But long-term, having that handoff is gonna pay itself off in the long term. At least that's the hope. And what else? Fuel and sand costs are down, so that's actually gonna relieve the pressure on the highway line, and we are gonna hold back apparently on some of our shim and seal coat, the paving overlay that we do every summer. Hopefully the rest of the shortfall will be made up by the grace of Mother Nature later this year. Let's see, what else? Anything else out of the...
Tony, did you already say what what the date of this report is?
Oh, this is...
Yesterday afternoon.
Pretty clear.
Yeah, Chris gave me this last night, and he had just worked it up, so I believe it's not on here, but yeah, it's yesterday, 6/19.
Pretty much. Yeah, and she
Yeah.
did it right as she was walking out the door and said, "It's sent." And I'm like, okay.
Let's see, so any other line items excessively out of order? There are a couple line items like Regional Planning Association, that's 100% is still there. It just hasn't come time to pay our dues for this year yet. Social service agencies, as I understand it, they usually, submit their letters for their share over the summer, so that's on its way. Here's the $500 that was put in for the Historical Society at town meeting that they have not requested to expend from yet. And it's there for them if they need it, but it does not have to be spent. I think that was made very clear at town meeting. Apart from that, in a general sense, we're pretty much on track with the exception of those 2 line items. Any questions on any of that? I probably don't have the answers, but I'll certainly write the questions down.
Nope.
In terms of general town updates, if you're good with me jumping ahead.
Yep.
Because it's actually more budgetary notes anyways. So major projects and purchases that are already budgeted for in this year. A police cruiser, which I don't think has been acquired yet. It has been?
I think so.
Oh.
We brought over paperwork today.
So they just grabbed it?
Yes.
Oh, okay,
Yes,
all right,
just.
okay. So, police cruiser, we have a new car. Maybe it looks exactly the same as the old car, that's why I didn't notice. There's some siding work that was budgeted to go on at the police station, and when you came in tonight, you probably noticed it's all plywood out there, so it's going on.
I
Getting...
heard something dripping.
Yes, that was like a little
Yeah.
drum going on.
Yeah, I hear stories. Drips and feet and other little things in the walls and ceilings. Yeah. Camera system upgrades, so that's going to be replacement cameras at the police department and I believe some net new cameras around the community center. There was a report that came out today about some vandalism at the town beach and some other places, so that might spur the addition of some cameras or other security devices, so we'll see what happens there. The forestry truck that the fire department owns, there's some repairs going on with that were budgeted for. I don't know if they've been completed yet, but I can certainly find out. Summertime is a busy time for that truck, so they may have already finished those repairs. On the personnel front, like I said, we got to replace our road agent. We also have one vacancy in the fire department that I believe has been posted already. And our library director, Eric Stern, has resigned. So, yeah, so that, I believe the library trustees have already posted that, and it's on the town webpage. So, I already talked about the the reasons behind going over the legal service line and the highway department line. We also, okay, warrant articles. So you remember on the ballot there were 3 what they call contingency articles, 9, 10, and 11. So if this happens, this takes effect. If that happens, and so on. So I believe warrant article 11 was the one that took effect because the town took the property. And if I remember correctly, that allowed the town to take $50,000 out of the unexpended fund balance to use towards.
Article 11 was to raise and appropriate $50,000 for the cost related to the acquisition, ownership, sale, or development of the property contingent on the town taking ownership of the property.
So that's
We took
okay.
ownership of the property,
So that, that spurs the question in my head, if we're over on the legal department line, I mean, that was the kind of thing that warrant article was intended to cover, so maybe that will get folded in there somehow, so I'll ask Chris about that. So, what?
I'm always having to think about the timing of warrant articles, because I think I'm not gonna, we don't wanna belabor that tonight, it'll be too protracted. Just the
No.
timing of when you vote on them, which ones go back.
So anyways, the town ownership article, Article 11, is in effect, not since we've done the tax deeding. We've spent less than $2,000 to date. We're about to spend $8,000 more with the environmental consultant. So part of that is related to verifying that the remediation of previously reported contaminants from about 10-ish years ago, and I don't have all the details on that, 100% in my head, but there was some previous contamination reported in previous years, and it was reported to have been mitigated. So we're going to verify that and also test for some of these new compounds that can often be found alongside the contaminants that were reported at the time, because now we have the technology today to test for those things. It will matter in the future when we do go to sell that property. Part of the area that we have to be cautious about is, now that we've taken the property legally, there's a 3-year window where that owner or any other stakeholder with enough cash has repurchase rights. All they have to do is show up at town hall with a check and pay all the back taxes and fees, and they own the land. So we have to honor that window. And if we do anything to diminish the value of the property, such as immediately imposing a restriction on the property, no water bottling plant or no hot dog stands, anything that would diminish the value of potential use of that property, then we are legally considered to be acting as a landowner and not just a holder of the property. And any of the previous owners that have a stake in this bankruptcy claim can come after the town for damages.
Does that include removing that metal structure and all that?
frame to the building.
Yeah,
'cause
that.
I mean, we thought that was a
Against the
I
hazard.
thought that was.
It is. Well, we've had the property surveyed. It's in no immediate danger of collapsing, I believe.
Okay.
That said, that house, that was like the main business office, that thing is a menace to society, to put it politely. And we ended up getting some, you ever see that construction fencing? It's not embedded in the ground, but it's chain link fencing in those plastic concrete barrier things, and it's basically a solid barrier around the building. So we've enclosed it to try to keep, kids out of there, keep partiers out and so on. So,
The 3 years, is that from when we acquired? just
from the
recently?
date we acquired it, yep.
So you can't sell it or
So we
anything?
can't do anything with it?
Or you'd have to
No, that's
pass
the
that?
same, that was
the-
basically the same issue.
I believe, and don't quote me on this, because there's a lot of legalities around it. Because every time I ask this question, it's like, well, yes, but, So, that's the kind of question I'd love to have the lawyer answer, but my understanding of it is, if, say, we sold the property tomorrow for $5 million, all we get to keep is what we were owed in back taxes and penalties. All the rest, we can't profit from that sale. All the rest of that money goes to the previous owner.
You don't want that.
Okay.
So it's our intent
To hold on to it for
Hold
3
on
years.
to it.
It's the same,
That-
same situation that happened with the small piece of land on Freeman Hall and Kennard or whatever it is there. There's a
Oh, that
small,
little
where
corner
they took
lot.
down
Yeah.
the house, and basically it needs to sit empty for 3 years before the town can do anything with it.
So I do want to be careful about what I say, because I don't know what I should be saying in public on that and not. I mean, there's always chatter going on between the town and the attorneys and various parties, requesting information, so I don't want to get too deep into it, but there's no immediate pressing need to do anything with the property. That said, we're gonna do that environmental testing to make sure that there's no surprises there. So as far as those other two warrant articles, 9 and 10, those contingency articles, they were moot because the property wasn't sold and the then owner did not come up with the cash to pay so those two articles were moot, and 11 was the one that took effect. Highway reconstruction, we've got $200,000 fully spent with completion of the Lakeview Road project. How did that turn out, by the way?
Phenomenal.
You like it?
Oh my gosh.
It's like a whole new world.
It's like a whole new world. It's, you don't feel like you're gonna go off a cliff and your car's not rumbling, and they put guardrails in. They did far more than I ever.
How
They
far
my
down did they
wildest
go
dream-
though?
They went, from when you come in,
Yeah.
it's a big loop. So you come in and you turn left, and they went all the way around until the halfway point, I guess, basically. I think they did more than half, because they came all the way down to the loop, kind of where the debuts are,
Mm-hmm.
right there, and now, next year, they'll just come down straight and bring it back down at that point. But I mean, they leveled things, they went through, I'd say 4 or 5 times, grading and leveling and smoothing and adding, gravel and.
Yeah,
uh,
cutting
Any
bedrock
water
in one part
issues
and
with all the
leveling on
rain?
another. What was that?
Oh, with all the rain we've been getting, all that's, the water's been,
Everything has
flowing
been
properly,
really,
everything?
they put in at least 2, I mean, I saw 2 big,
Culverts?
culverts,
Yeah.
or actually drains, big square drains with the, cement,
Yeah,
what-
I know what you're talking about.
thingamabobs, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
They do that there.
a
Um,
lot of heavy
The
equipment. that-
doohickeys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mr. Fernald's intent was to do it right,
Yeah.
so that it doesn't have to be done for another 15, 20, however many years. I mean, that was the whole intent, and there was a lot of engineering challenges involved with it.
Well, I know, and to your point, I know some people were concerned about future
runoff,
water
yeah.
runoff once it's
Yeah.
paved and
That
so
was,
on. and
that was one of
Is
their,
that gonna end up in somebody's basement instead of,
Yeah.
out in the lake or out in
They
the
seem to
woods?
really look at it, they seemed extremely knowledgeable. Mr. Fernald was there every day.
yeah,
They were talking with the landowners that, I think they did run some things around that they needed to, but I didn't hear everything seemed to be
That's great.
very positive.
yeah.
I
heard
didn't
there was a-
fly on that road, but, all the places where you could roll off into the lake are big guardrails, and they're not even, these guardrails are phenomenal guardrails, they're not little wooden things.
They're not the little cheap ones,
Oh,
they're the
no,
nice
they're
ones.
really
yeah.
nice, they
Yeah.
did such nice work, it's beyond anything you'd hope for.
Money well spent. You
Yes.
heard it from a happy citizen. Let's see, what else? Dame School, and that's next door. We're still waiting on the results of a grant application before the work plan is decided on. And that's to basically renovate, paint, trim, just spruce it up. And if you remember from last year's budget talks, the fire chief talked to us about the new ambulance that they needed and the hydraulic cot and some of the other peripheral equipment. That's been ordered. So Oh yeah, things are on track. And I think that's all I have for you for notes.
Good. Thank you.
Any questions?
Anybody have any other questions? All right, next item, other business. Does anybody have any other business they would like to discuss?
No, sounds good.
I can't think of anything either, so I'm good there. Round table. Anybody have anything to bring to?
I think we go around the table.
When would we be looking to have another meeting to include the newly elected members? When does that happen?
Well, they were supposed to be here tonight.
Hence my question. No, I'm just
Yeah.
wondering, like, how do we, like, pull this into a,
Well, typically you would do this, I mean, in the past, there have been that first quarter, third quarter review, and then this one, and then the final, and you know, you've had 3 to 4 meetings before you kind of start ramping back up in September, October. There just has been a lot of interest in getting together for first quarter numbers that really don't mean much.
Right.
You know, yeah, it's
So
nice
much
to see them,
fluctuation.
but
We were lacking a chairman.
right. So, we can meet whenever you're ready. If you wanna go a month, you wanna go 2, audit you said will be done September, October, so you probably don't wanna push it out that far, but you could go maybe mid-September, have,
What'd you do last year?
I think last year we waited till September, right?
Yeah, I don't remember meeting again over the
It
summer.
was September,
I remember
Yeah.
one
And I think
summer.
that might be
mid-September when we started last.
mid-September, yeah.
so you could meet mid-September, you would get towns almost third quarter financials at that point, you know, she would give them
And there would
to
be
whatever point.
some, probably some pretty good updates regarding the school and some of the things that you're currently working on there and stuff, so, yeah, let's do mid-September sometime.
So you guys have the option to continue on your Thursdays, if that works for everybody. You can change days. My request would be to not be on Monday and Wednesday. Keeping in mind that school board.
She's gonna be our secretary.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, school board, and I'll be with the school board on the first and third Wednesdays of the month if they like my work. I've got Monday meetings with the Board of Selectmen every other Monday.
so Thursday sounds good.
Tuesdays are fine with me too, I mean, I don't care, it really is
Yeah.
more
Yeah,
fun.
Thursday's been,
Yeah.
good. Thursday works.
Michael, what about you?
It's been Thursdays for
I know, that's
for
what I'm
years,
saying.
that I know of.
It's been Thursdays for hours, so.
How long have you been on the budget committee? Do you mind me asking?
I think,
Or I can ask you later.
I think I've completed 5 terms now.
For,
Yeah, I've completed 5 terms.
Thank you. That's about how long I've been in town.
I think so.
Me too.
Well, should I just try to pull it up online real quick?
Yeah, if you want, yeah. The selectmen schedule.
Oh.
I'm trying to remember which email account it's in.
One thing that
maybe we can track down Leslie.
meetings
Thompson
ahead of the school schedule particularly are beneficial for is it allows us to
Okay.
take care of some strategy planning things. You know, how do we want to help the town and school board make our job easier or somehow just be partners to their process? And the other thing is there are ad hoc committees or standing committees that meet through the summer for various things that we should, once we get new members on board, be putting volunteers into presentation.
What committees are meeting over the summer in regards to school? I imagine transportation would have some stuff going on.
Possibly. I think we're gonna try to bring bring Dale in directly so that people in the community can just hear it. And then they should have we want to be able to get these the bus routes in front of families before August, if we can, you know, or early in August at least, because you don't have much time if there are gonna be adjustments because of that shortage of a driver. People need to know.
The capital improvements
Oh,
work starts late summer typically.
So that was last year's schedule, so you guys, last year you guys actually started in July.
Yeah, we did have one
That was
then.
your first.
September, end of September 29th was
Wow.
our
Was the
next
next
meeting.
one?
We still got all our work done.
Late.
Yeah, it was
How'd
kind
that
of late,
happen?
but I mean, we got it in. Yeah, I think if we do mid-September, we're probably doing okay.
Has it been a while that we've had 3 new people at the same time on the
It's-
committee, or no?
It's typical. Well,
Is it?
3 is normal every year.
Is it?
Yeah.
yeah, well, depending on,
2 or 3, depending on the year, 2 or 3 rotate out and then come back in, unless somebody's reelected, but.
and that's been happening on and off.
Rosalind and I are gonna be sharing this, so she's never done it. She'll be fine,
Oh,
cause she's
yeah.
been 3 years on the board and everything, so it should be fine.
So Thursdays, would be the 7th, which is the day after the school board meeting. The 14th, which is the same week as the BOS meeting, which is fine. The 21st, again, would be the day after a school board meeting. And then you have the 28th.
When did we meet last year?
29th.
29th?
Yeah.
It was that
last.
So we met once in July.
That July meeting was this.
This meeting,
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
What do you think about September 14th? How is it like, I would think it would be good like right after a school board meeting, or,
Well, there's
or that's what
stuff
I'm
to
wondering.
prepare.
Yeah.
Or you end up with a Board of Selectmen meeting.
It doesn't matter, to me, it really.
They're alternating weeks anyways.
Well, the 7th would be the same case after when's the school board meeting, the 7th?
The 6th and the 20th.
6th and the 20th, so
Yeah.
it would be the 7th and the 21st. That's why I kind of thought the 14th, because it wasn't piggybacking on it.
And I mean, if, again, I will accommodate you guys, it's fine. My personal opinion would be to do it the same week as the BOS meeting, just because it gives me a few nights in between,
Okay, so 14th.
if that's okay with everybody
Yeah,
here.
Yeah,
Fine with me.
that works.
All right.
14th.
And you'll send us all an invite, please? Thank you.
Somebody needs to show me how to
And are we
download that
keeping
thing.
7 as the start time?
You can change that too. You could go 6:30.
Oh,
I
that's
think
tough
we
for
have
Michael, though, huh?
logistics, yeah, so.
Mike, when are you retiring?
Don't know yet. I've been trying to retire.
And that was that.
I'm getting retired essentially
Get
because
it.
they're outsourcing the whole IT function to South Dakota. And so we've been in the process for the last 8 months, getting data mapped over to their new systems and kind of ramping down out of a job. But it keeps schedule keeps slipping, and I was hoping for July, you know.
I'm on vacation.
I was gonna say.
Yeah,
So
this summer.
we can keep it 7 for September, and then you guys can reevaluate it at that time. If you
Yep.
want to
Sounds
start
good.
earlier, you can, with a group consensus, again, it doesn't matter to me. You can
Okay.
start at 5, huh?
Oh, no.
Or not.
We'll know
Yeah,
better
it's
once
just-
school
Talk about
starts,
not having a
all that
quorum.
stuff, so.
Yeah, it may be 6 or 6:30 once the meetings get longer. You know, it makes for a late night. My workday starts at 6 a.m. though, so I'm a little more
See, I don't
sensitive
get out of
to
work
it.
till 5 is the
Yeah.
problem, and I'm in south of Manchester, so it just.
We'll figure it out
out.
later. Yeah,
Yep.
7 for now.
What I'd recommend when you print out this year's schedule, and I think you might have done some of that last year, like put on the key dates, like the legal deadlines and the, when, like
Yeah,
the.
she had all that on
Yeah,
there.
it
It
was
was
very
nice to know.
Yeah.
The deadlines.
But I think the LGC has that whole,
Believe it or not, it's already done,
yeah.
ish, for this year. I just was waiting for your next meeting. So I've got key dates, I can pretty much estimate the NHMA deadlines, so. I'm gonna give it to you when.
Thank you.
Thank you. You guys are good.
Alrighty.
Cool.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
A motion to adjourn meeting?
Second?
Are we really 8:53?
Yeah.
Wow.
All in favor? Michael's not voting. Michael's so happy to be here.
I did the motion.
Carrie, I'll take the second.
Abstain from everything.